Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on a Wednesday. Locked and loaded for the next 2 hours. I'm excited about today's show. We got a ton to talk about. JD Piquel of On 3 Sports going to be with us in 15 minutes talking college football bowls. Andrew Hutchison from Best of Arkansas Sports is going to join us. He's at the Liberty Bowl because that's where Arkansas is about to play a football game. But we're going to talk about the LSU basketball game tonight inside the PMAC. I texted him yesterday. I was like, hey, man, I want to come on and talk basketball. I was like, well, I got to be at the Liberty Bowl. It's like, I didn't even check the schedule. Sorry. Didn't even know the Liberty Bowl was tomorrow. But it is. But Andrew is going to join us. That kickoff's not till 4. So he's going to come on from the Liberty Bowl. So we'll talk to him briefly about that one. And then we'll get into some LSU basketball tonight as they open their conference schedule. Sam King from the Lafayette Journal and Courier is going to join us at 2 o'clock. He covers Purdue for the Lafayette paper up there in West Lafayette. So he'll talk Boilermakers with us at 2 o'clock. I want to kind of get the temperature there now as things have settled. They've got their full-time coach hired. They know who's going to be the quarterback. The staff that's going to coach the bowl game is in place. Don't have to worry about recruiting right now. So it's kind of full steam ahead for the bowl game. So I want to kind of get some thoughts from the Purdue side of things there. I will preview this LSU-Arkansas game in the second hour, as well as a big-time menu of SEC basketball games that crank up at 4 o'clock today. So locked and loaded for the next 2 hours. Appreciate you joining us. The opening hour on Wednesdays always brought to you by Sunshine Quality Solutions. Visit Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana, for your equipment needs. Speaking of needs, they got some needs in the Liberty Bowl right now, some significant needs. They don't have water. That means you've got theoretically 40,000 people with no toilets that flush. Bit of an issue. They've brought in like 400 porta potties. They've put them all over the place, but not going to be ideal viewing conditions for the fans at the Liberty Bowl this afternoon. 2 SEC teams play this afternoon and will play today. Arkansas and Ole Miss. They'll finish their seasons. Arkansas is in the Liberty Bowl against Kansas. Ole Miss is in the Texas Bowl. They will be playing Texas Tech. We know the Texas Bowl all too well after last year. Not exactly the best time slot. 8 o'clock at night in the middle of the week. It's a tough scene, but that's where Ole Miss will play. And I want to start there. We know what bowl games have basically been reduced to at this point. That's old news. There was a time where you would look at bowl games as a reward for your season. You could use it as a catapult into the feverish recruiting run that was the month of January and catapult yourself into spring ball. You can hear a lot of LSU people talk about that it was a big deal to win that 2011 Cotton Bowl against A&M to catapult into the 2011 season. You'll hear guys say that it's a big deal. Hester really believes in that, and certainly he would know a lot better than me. I have no perspective on that. I've never been in the locker room, never been on a team, never won a bowl game, never lost a bowl game, never been to spring ball or off-season workouts. I can't speak firsthand on that. I've always thought it was a little bit overrated. I have a hard time really selling to you that what we're going to feel like before the LSU-Florida State game kicks off next fall is going to be impacted significantly by how you play against Purdue. That being said, I don't think that what happens for Ole Miss and Arkansas today is a huge deal. In my opinion, and that's all it is, it doesn't really matter, but it's my opinion, Ole Miss and Arkansas have had very disappointing seasons in different ways. Ole Miss came to Tiger Stadium undefeated and very much in play to win the Western Division. They left Tiger Stadium in play to win the Western Division because later on, Alabama would lose to Tennessee and Alabama would lose to LSU. Ole Miss was right in the thick of this thing. And before you look up and go, what do you mean? They're in the Texas Bowl. They lost 4 games. But they never get to Atlanta, ever. Literally. So for them to be in that conversation as Halloween is approaching, it's a big deal for them. And then all of a sudden you look up and you got smoked by LSU. You got beat by Bama. You didn't get smoked. You got beat by Bama. Couldn't win the Egg Bowl. Not great. So no matter if they go out tonight and beat Texas Tech in the Texas Bowl or not, fact of the matter is your fall from grace over the last 5 weeks of the season was significant. So I don't think what happens for Ole Miss and Texas Tech tonight means a ton for the Rebels. Arkansas, in a different way, because they did get it off to a nice start. You beat Cincinnati and you beat South Carolina. That's a pretty good start. But you just got hammered by Mississippi State. You looked totally inept on offense against LSU. You still can't beat Missouri. And this is all coming off of a year where you won 9 games, had your quarterback coming back who played excellent football last year, both coordinators coming back. You've really set the stage to take that next step. And each step is harder. The easiest thing to do is to go from a 3-8 team to a 6-6 team. That happens with just about every new coaching hire. Even the ones that bottom out usually peak. Chad Morris didn't. But usually that first step is achievable. And then you got to see if you can win 9. Then you got to see if you can win 10. Then you got to see if you can win the division. And each step gets tougher. And Arkansas got to the point where they could win 9. Okay, now, are you ready to step up and play with the big boys? Are you ready for the first time in 15 years to go beat Alabama? Never beaten Saban. No, they weren't. Are you ready to maintain what you did and beat LSU again? No, you didn't. Are you ready to get over the hump and beat Missouri, who's really had your number since they came into the league? And you think you're too cool for them, just kind of like LSU thinks it's too cool for Arkansas, and then you flip with Missouri, but you can't really beat them. So does that? And then you look up and it's 6-6. That's disappointing. That's dropping a peg. And there's nothing you can do in the Liberty Bowl against Kansas that cures that. There are some bowls that you can spin a positive light on. Tennessee winning the Orange Bowl, that'd be really nice. LSU getting to 10 wins, I can sell that. It's a little tougher to sell, but I could sell it. Arkansas going to the Liberty Bowl and playing Kansas, even that win's not going to do much for you. Now, that said, a lot will be made of, this is not the same old Kansas. This is a pretty good team. Oh, wait a second. They were 5-0 and they lost 6 of their last 7. The Kansas I know and love loses 6 of its last 7 far more often than it doesn't. Their defense allowed 47 to K-State, 55 to Texas, 42 to Texas Tech, 35 to Baylor, and 52 to Oklahoma. They're the worst run defense in the Big 12. They are the same old Kansas. They stink. They lose a lot. I know they got off to a 5-0 start. Really cool that you beat Duke. Awesome. They're not good, and Arkansas should wipe the floor with them. KJ's out there. You should run the football at will and win that game easily over Kansas. If you don't, shame on you. And if you're Ole Miss, look, Texas Tech loves to throw the football. They led the Big 12 in passing this year. And the talk of Ole Miss all year was that their secondary was a perceived strength. Had some veterans, had the 3 good safeties, so they were going to start all 3 of them or flip a coin, play rock, paper, scissors to see who gets to start. Remember that story with Kiffin this year? Because they had 3 starters at safety, but you can only start 2. Supposed to be good. But this is a team that had aspirations of a New Year's Six Bowl, had aspirations of going to Atlanta, and that got wiped out. So we'll see. I'd have to go back and look at my picks. I think I probably picked Ole Miss a lot this year just because I like Kiffin. They score some points, but they probably weren't a great pick all year. They barely got out alive against Kentucky, and after that, the wheels came off. So there's your slot in the Texas Bowl at 8 p.m. on a weeknight. Enjoy. Should be a lot of points in the Texas Bowl, I would think. I think Ole Miss is going to run it a lot. I think Texas Tech will have success throwing the ball. I think the over may be the play there, but I'm not ready to trust Ole Miss in the way that I think I would very much trust Arkansas. But it's less of trusting Arkansas and more of just thinking that Kansas can't play. And that's what I think. But T's and P's to those who need to use the restroom in the Liberty Bowl today. Because you're going to have to find your way up there a little bit. I feel for smaller bowl games. Look, I grew up going to the Independence Bowl every single year. My dad was on the board of the Independence Bowl for a few years. And I understand it gets a lot of fun poked at it, and the Liberty Bowl is more established and in a much bigger city than Shreveport, obviously. But I root for the littler bowl games. Nobody needs to root for the Rose Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl. Nobody needs to root for the Cotton Bowl in Jerry World. Sugar Bowl is just fine. I root for the smaller bowl games. And when all the toilets at the Liberty Bowl go out before the bowl game, when you're going to have 40,000 people there, that's tough. But they're doing the best they can with porta potties. So that'll be maybe as interesting a storyline as the game between Arkansas and Kansas. We shall see. We'll talk with Andrew Hutchison from the Liberty Bowl coming up in a little over 20 minutes from right now. J.D. Pickell of On3 Sports next, talking college football. It's the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford. Check out that inventory, BayouFord.com. Tell you every single day to head over to the website. It is updated every single day. Car inventory is moving quicker than ever because there's just not as much of it on the lots. It comes in and it moves out. So if Bayou Ford doesn't have what you want when you go search the inventory at BayouFord.com, that's okay. We've got two ways to solve that problem. One, wait and see if it shows up next couple of days. Two, call Ben Gagne and the crew and say, hey, I don't see exactly what I want. This is what I'm thinking. And they'll customize a vehicle for you and have it ready in 60 to 90 days, whether it's an Explorer, Expedition, maybe you're looking for an Edge, got an F-150, F-250, Broncos, Mustangs. They got it all, and it's all in the inventory right there at BayouFord.com. BayouFord.com is the website. Every new purchase, a 1,000,000-mile powertrain warranty. And if you don't love what you're driving around right now, they got a great buyback program. They'll buy your vehicle. That'll help you get started on that new Bayou Ford vehicle. BayouFord.com is the website. Bayou Ford, they're going to do right by you.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
A third of youth who grow up in foster care are homeless 18 months after aging out of care. But you can rewrite that story. Change a child's story. Become a volunteer today.
Miller Lite has more taste and only 1 more calorie than Michelob Ultra.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's.
It's Musso. Join us for Wednesday's AFR presented by Pluckers. Matt's vacation continues. Ronnie Rance is in to guest host. We continue to preview LSU and Purdue in the Citrus Bowl and Saints Eagles. After further review, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Opening hour on Wednesday, brought to you by Sunshine Quality Solutions. Visit Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana, for your equipment needs. Always good to talk to J.D. Piquel of On 3 Sports. We do it each and every Wednesday. We bring him on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Now, J.D., how we doing?
Doing pretty well, man. How y'all doing?
Doing
we
good.
Got some juice?
We got some juice. We got a lot going on down here. We got the team just left to get ready for the Citrus Bowl. Conference play starts in basketball tonight, so we got plenty, and there's a lot of college football on right now. I know we talked before the Bowls kicked off about kind of what we thought about them and what they're kind of being reduced to, but now that we're in the middle of it and one's on every night, how have you enjoyed the bowl season thus far?
Man, I've loved it. I've absolutely loved it, and I've loved, too, that we've gotten to see in a bunch of these different games just the response, especially from the winning team, like the whole meaningless bowl game term, I think, is thrown out quite a bit. But the more and more we get to see some of these teams, end up winning their last game of the season, we can see, okay, it does matter to all these guys playing. It does matter to the coaches. It does matter to the fans that do show up. And so I think meaningless bowl game is a fan term and not so much a player term. But I mean, I've loved having more football on, man. It's been an absolute blast, and excited to see some of these big ones coming up here in the next few days.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. I think as far as the players go, for this LSU team to get to go as a team with no school to Orlando for a week and to do some things in the community and do some things for fun and then go play a football game, I always think that's cool. I do think from a fan perspective, the lack of high marquee players playing and whatnot waters it down just a touch. SEC thus far 0-2 in bowl games. Wake Forest beat Missouri and Florida got thumped out west. Two more SEC teams in action tonight. I opened the show talking about Arkansas and A&M, saying that I thought for different reasons both of their seasons were disappointing. Arkansas coming off a 9-win season with their quarterback back and both coordinators back, and you think maybe they can take the next step. Then Ole Miss is very much in the SEC West picture late into October, and then that kind of gets flipped on its head and they stumble down the stretch. Which season more disappointing for you, Arkansas or Ole Miss?
I think it's a really great question, man. I'll start with A&M. I think A&M is probably the more disappointing season just because nobody was expecting A&M to – I shouldn't say nobody. There were some people that expected A&M to compete for a national title and to do this and do that. I think the majority of us, the more reasonable folks, thought that, okay, this will be a good stepping stone year to then in the next year. Once, you have some of those big-time prospects that you land on signing day, you can develop them and allow them to get their feet wet and become college players. Like, then in 2023, we'll talk about doing something on a national level and get some New Year's Six bowls and things like that. But for that to be such a missed, what I'm trying to say here, this year was supposed to be a stepping stone, and it was nowhere close. It's like a step backwards. And so I think for that reason, based on what we had hoped A&M would end up being this coming year, you just recalibrate your expectations tremendously for what that program is right now. A program that I think a lot of people thought from how they recruited, they were on the upward trend, and right now it seems like they've taken not just one, but even 2 or 3 steps backwards from what they have to do now on staff and just re-evaluate themselves conceptually. So for that reason, I would say A&M. I think Arkansas is frustrating from a record standpoint, but things that you just can't really control with the quarterback not being healthy the whole year and being banged up on secondary. Like, there's things there that are just part of football. Not any less disappointing, but A&M, from what they can control, I think really swung and missed in a big way this year, and are going to have a whole offseason to sit with it now.
What is this year for Ole Miss? It finishes at 8-4. Lost to Alabama, lost to LSU, then got beaten in the Egg Bowl as well. When you were very much, a contender in the SEC West in the middle of October.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a disappointment so much as it's kind of figuring out life after Matt Corral, which was kind of the thought process before this year anyway. And so, I mean, I don't know if you're super disappointed. I think in some ways you have to give a lot of credit to Lane Kiffin and allowing that program to be as competitive as it was, because there was a whole lot of room for Ole Miss to drop off in a big way. So I think 8-4, when you look at the entirety of the season, you get a little bit further away from it. I think you say, okay, we steadied the ship as a program, kept ourselves stable, and did we get all we wanted to get done in terms of, expectations and winning, our side of the SEC and stuff like that? No, but you look at the entire body of work, and I think you feel confident about your program under Lane Kiffin in the direction of the whole operation.
All right, let's talk about the big games coming up this weekend. We'll start with the one that's big around here, not necessarily as big as the playoff, but it's LSU and Purdue. 1, Jaden Daniels announces he's going to play in this game. 2, he's going to play next year. What does that mean for LSU?
I think it's huge. I think it just means continuity, right? Because Ryan Kelly getting there and having a new way of doing things and going to the portal for a lot of their big-time players this season, to have your quarterback coming back gives you just a better sense of what you can expect from the offense, which for LSU, I mean, is saying something. I mean, there was an offense that I think fans would probably say inconsistent, maybe not so much game to game, but quarter for quarter. And so having him back for another season, allowing him to grow in that system, allowing him to become more comfortable and be the Jaden Daniels that we saw post-Auburn, if he can be that for the entirety of the season, I mean, LSU is talking about going back to the SEC title game and having a chance to, be in some really exciting bowl games this time next year. So I think it just means that the expectations will be high again next year, and the development of Jaden Daniels, if he can be that version of himself, we saw the second half of the year, LSU can be really dangerous.
All right, let's go to the Orange Bowl. I'm fascinated by this game for a couple of reasons. I think that Cade Klubnik at Clemson is an exciting player, and I want to see him play. And then we'll see what Tennessee is without Hendon Hooker. Yeah, they crushed Vanderbilt, but I don't really give you much credit for that. What do you think that looks like other than orange?
Yeah, I mean, only college football, right? The Orange Bowl, we get 2 teams that wear orange. You can't script it any better. Man, I'm just fascinated to see what is Cade Klubnik, because I think he's extremely talented. I think he brings a ton to the table, is a dual threat guy, and there's so much expectation around him. I mean, people forget that Dabo said post-game in the ACC title press conference, he said, yeah, we tried to play him against Notre Dame. He wasn't ready. So that gives me some feel that, okay, it wasn't a thing where you just played the wrong guy for the entirety of the year, which I think a lot of Clemson fans want to try and talk about. Hey, if we had played Cade Klubnik, maybe we don't lose to, South Carolina. Maybe we don't lose to, whatever team you want to insert next. And so I'm curious to see how much salt there is to that from this game. For Tennessee, I just have a hard time going against Josh Heupel. I think he's one of the best there is in the business right now, and I think they're only going to get better. I think he's building a program, not just a program, but a program down there in Knoxville. And so I'm excited to see how they respond without, like you said, their main guy and Hendon Hooker, and having a bit of a different approach on the field, because I mean, when you lose your quarterback, you lose your leadership, you lose your direction, and so great programs are able to regroup, reset, like Josh Heupel likes to say, and kind of go back at it. And so we're really going to get a good litmus test for what they have from a culture standpoint and how much they can reset without Hooker on the field there. So I lean Tennessee ever so slightly for that reason. But I mean, Cade Klubnik just could be the ace in the hole there for Clemson and just kind of go into Superman mode and take over the game.
In the Saban era, the Sugar Bowl has not been too kind to them. You saw obviously the Utah game and then the Trevor Knight game for Oklahoma, where Alabama's lost both of those games. Do you give Kansas State a shot in this one?
The Trevor Knight game. Mm-hmm. Golly, that's a great way to phrase it. I really do give Kansas State a great shot for the same reason that I think Tennessee's interesting. They just feel like they have an identity, right? I mean, Kansas State knows who they are, whether it's Adrian Martinez playing quarterback one week, Will Howard is going to get the start in this one, got the start in the Big 12 title game. Like, they just seem very sure of themselves and have a really great identity. I am just so excited to see what kind of psyche we get from Alabama, because that's kind of the question I think on everybody's mind is, nobody came to Tuscaloosa to play in Sugar Bowls unless the Sugar Bowl was the semifinal game that year. And so do you have a team that's locked in and focused like it seems like they are with Will Anderson playing in this game and Bryce Young playing in this game? Or is it, like you said, the Trevor Knight game where everyone just seems checked out in Kansas State, with the good players they have too. Deuce Vaughn, one of the best backs in the country. Do they play their statement game kind of football in the Sugar Bowl? So it'll be really fascinating, but I'm excited to watch it. And I think the key to the game in my mind is if Kansas State can stay on schedule, they're going to have a really good chance to make it a tough afternoon for Bryce Young in Alabama, because then he's not seeing the football as much. Then they're not having to convert on 3rd and 11, which they're not built to do. So it's kind of a simplistic and cliche thing to say, but staying on schedule I think will be the difference maker. And I'm excited to watch that one. So I absolutely give Kansas State a chance for sure.
This won't be the case. You'll get to watch both. But if I told you could only watch one of the semifinals, which one would you pick?
Ooh, Ohio State, I'll say it from just the entertainment value. I think Ohio State, Georgia will just be so fascinating. I mean, Hunt, think back a few months. We all thought this was going to be the national title game.
Yeah.
We thought we were going to get Georgia, Ohio State in SoFi Stadium with the bright lights on January, and we get in the semifinal game. So the styles of play is really interesting. The psyche of Ohio State is fascinating to me right now, with them kind of backing themselves into the playoff and waking up on Selection Sunday and finding themselves in the 4th spot. I mean, who would have thought after that clock hit 0-0s in Columbus against Michigan they'd be in this position? So Marvin Harrison Jr., having watched the tape of what LSU did against Georgia, has got to be licking his chops. And I understand it was against, the second string for Georgia, and it wasn't their best of the best in there. But you throw for 500 yards in a football game, that tells you something about your program and something about, what you may be needing to shore up in the secondary. So just that battle on the outside between Ringo and Harrison Jr. and what C.J. Stroud does, I think that's going to be a really, really fun game. For no other reason, for the styles of play.
You give Max Duggan and company a shot?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't count out Max Duggan. I mean, the guy's got freaking caffeine pumping through his veins every single snap, it seems like. I mean, he was just the Energizer Bunny in that Big 12 title game. And, no, you can't count out Sonny Dykes and TCU, even though I've tried to do it all year long. And then I picked him in the Big 12 title game and they ended up losing that one, so maybe that's just the way that it goes. I think it's something. I was talking to a buddy of mine that went to TCU, and I think there's something to be said for a team similar to Ohio State that just came face to face with their own mortality. Like TCU now isn't coming into this game with any sort of narrative around themselves of, hey, we're unbeatable, we're undefeated, we can beat anybody. And they've lost now. And I think in some ways that could be a healthy dose of reality for TCU against a team like Michigan, who, similar to Kansas State, I think they just know who they are. They have an identity. They're not trying to figure anything out mid-game. Like they're going to run the football at you with Donovan Edwards. They're going to hit play action with J.J. McCarthy, and they're going to try and just wear you down in that second half. So TCU being the second half team that they are, I think will make it a really fun watch, and can absolutely not count out Max Duggan by any stretch of the imagination. The guy's got a warrior spirit about him. So excited to watch him get after it.
Enjoy the football. Have a great New Year. We'll preview title game next week.
Sounds good. Thanks. Have a great one.
You too. JD Piquel on 3 Sports, host of the Hard Count over on YouTube. Check out his stuff. Appreciate him joining us each and every Wednesday. Our Wednesday opening hours brought to you by Sunshine Equipment Services. Visit Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana, for your equipment needs. Take a time out, come back. We'll go to Memphis for the Liberty Bowl preview. Well, not really a Liberty Bowl preview, but Andrew Hutchinson is going to join us to talk about the Arkansas Razorbacks as they come into the PMAC tonight. So don't go anywhere. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com. If your closet is a disaster, get somebody in there to fix it. That's what David Duvall and his team have been doing for 3 decades. Whether it's cubbies, shelves, mirrors, tie racks, they can help you organize your closet. And if you tell them that we sent you here, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, they're not going to charge you for the installation or the teardown of your previous unit. That'll be free. You just pay for the unit over there at One Bath and Closets. Go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. Check out the testimonials. Check out the photos of what they can do. It's not just closets, also bathrooms. How much better would your bathroom look if you took out the tub and put in a gorgeous glass front walk-in shower? Change your living situation. You don't have to move to do that. One Bath and Closets can do it for you. And I can promise you this, they're not going to come in there, finish as quickly as they can, move on to the next project, get the next check, and have something go wrong at your home. No, they're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. David Duvall and his team are so awesome. We're so thrilled to tell you about them each and every day here. One Bath and Closets. Go to the website, onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit.
We get it done with passion for our fans
and love for our community.
We are the Tigers.
Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Black Widow Jeep Gladiators in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to? Let Revelry Sports and Entertainment set up your luxury tailgate on campus. Order what you want and just show up to party. Book your tailgate today at revelryteam.com. Revelry Sports, the official tailgate partner of LSU Athletics.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service.
Join me, Jimmy, out as we get ready for the LSU Basketball Conference opener. It's LSU Arkansas. We'll be at City Slice Pints and Pizza on Chime Street, just outside the north gates of LSU. On 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back in action here on a Wednesday. Opening hour brought to you by Sunshine Equipment Services. Visit Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana, for your equipment needs. Go up to Memphis, Tennessee. That's where we can find Andrew Hutchinson from Best of Arkansas Sports. Hogs about to play in the Liberty Bowl. We will briefly touch on that, but of course want to talk about the SEC opener tonight inside the PMAC. Andrew, thanks for the time. How are you?
Doing good. Just trying to find our way to the parking lot here at the Liberty Bowl.
You going to count the porta potties, or what's the deal? We've been talking about it on the show. We got nowhere to use the restroom in the Liberty Bowl. It's a real crisis.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a little bit of a cluster. I'm not sure how this is going to work out. It's kind of a bad situation here in Memphis, but all I know is I'm glad I'm not having to try to find one. Of course, I don't know what the situation's going to be like in the press box either. So,
Look, got to play hurt, got to play through some adversity sometimes, even in the media. So, best of luck out there. I wanted to briefly touch on this Arkansas football season before we get to basketball, where I think more Hog fans' attention may be resting at the moment. But this felt like, to me personally, a year where Arkansas comes off a 9-win season. Their quarterback's coming back, who was great last year. You got your coordinators back. Really time to take the next step. And then you look up, and that just didn't happen. Does it feel like maybe a step back up there in Fayetteville?
I think the 6-6 season was disappointing to pretty much everybody, even the coaching staff and the players, because they felt the same way, that they were going to be able to take that next step, and just didn't happen. And of course, there were so many close games. They lost 4 games this year by 3 points or less, including the game against LSU and some other ones, like the Liberty game kind of sticks out. Like, that's a game you shouldn't lose. Texas A&M early in the year, turns out Texas A&M kind of stinks. Like, can't lose that game. So. And Missouri to end the year. So it was definitely disappointing. There were injuries that definitely played a factor into it. I mean, you lose your preseason All-American safety, Jalen Catalon, in the first game of the year with the shoulder injury. KJ Jefferson misses some games. So there's excuses for sure, but definitely kind of a disappointing step back considering how good last year was.
So what's next? Obviously, Barry Odom decided he's going to move on, took a coaching job out west at UNLV. Where does Arkansas go from here?
Yeah, they've already hired Travis Williams as the next defensive coordinator. It looks like Kendall Browse is going to be back as the offensive coordinator. And KJ Jefferson has announced he's coming back. So, I mean, there's some reason for optimism. But, where they go now is they go to the transfer portal. And you hope you can have as good of a transfer portal class as you did this past year when they landed some studs. I mean, Drew Sanders was an All-American linebacker. You landed your top 2 wide receivers, Jaden Hazelwood and Matt Landers, were fantastic. So if you can land some guys like that to complement the pieces you do have coming back, I think there's reason for optimism that they can improve on the 6-6 record. Now, I don't know if they're going to win 9 games or whatever next year, but I think the transfer portal this offseason is going to be really, really huge for them in terms of keeping this program going in the right direction.
Our guest, Andrew Hutchison, best of Arkansas sports. Let's turn our attention to the Must Bus as it rolls into Baton Rouge, 11-1. The Hogs, number 10 in the net. Both teams open in conference play tonight, and Arkansas playing its first true road game. No Nick Smith in this game. Trevon Brazile, talented big man, is out for the season. This is still a very talented Arkansas team. I like to look at the matchup here in the backcourt, and Anthony Black and Ricky Council have just been awesome for the Hogs. What kind of dynamic do they bring?
Yeah, those guys have been really great. Ricky Council's probably been the surprise of the year. I mean, I think we all thought he was going to be very good for them, but averaging what he is, like 18 points, I don't know what it is now, but at one point he was leading the SEC in scoring. He's been phenomenal, and Anthony Black, we all knew that he was going to be good. I mean, he's a 5-star recruit, projected potential lottery pick, and so they've been fantastic. You still got Devo Davis there as well as a kind of a veteran presence. So they still have talent, but not having Nick Smith, for this game, and who knows, he's kind of out indefinitely. No one really knows his status. That is a blow, and losing Trevon Brazile is also a big loss because he was kind of having a breakout year and a guy that I thought could work his way into first-round draft territory. So there is still plenty of talent. That's a good thing, but I think it's put a little bit of a damper on it not having those 2 guys available.
And Brazile at 6'9", 6'10", great athlete, shot blocker, great around the rim. LSU's best offensive weapon thus far, most consistent offensive weapon, has been KJ Williams, who will play the 4 and the 5 for LSU. Who does Arkansas have down on the block that KJ will be contending with tonight?
Yeah, Mekhi Mitchell has been a guy that's really come on strong. We saw him play over in Europe or over the summer, and they're on the foreign tour, and I just thought, man, I'm not so sure about him. Like he was coming in from Rhode Island. Him and his twin brother Mikel, they just really didn't do a whole lot. Man, are these guys really going to contribute? But Mekhi has really improved. Been a really steady guy. He doesn't put up the sexiest numbers, but he's been very, very good. And of course, you also have Jordan Walsh, he's got like a 7'3" wingspan or something crazy like that. He's 6'7", I think, crazy athletic. He's a guy that can defend multiple positions. So he's a guy to watch for as well. But yeah, Mekhi Mitchell's the big man, and you may see some Jalen Graham. He's a guy that transferred in from Arizona State, capable of being a very, very good offensive player, questionable on the defensive end. So we'll see kind of how it plays out. Jalen Graham is coming off a very good game in the last game, but a little bit of a difference between LSU and UNC Asheville.
This is one of the most remarkable stats I've seen pouring through game notes in a few years. Arkansas's offensive efficiency in the first half is 308th in the country. Their offensive efficiency in the second half is second in the country. Do you have any explanation for that?
I didn't realize it was that big of a gap, but it makes sense because there's been several guys. I mean, Ricky Council was talking about him a second ago. Seems like he catches a second wind in the second half of almost every game. It's been phenomenal. Plus, I mean, Eric Musselman is an excellent in-game adjuster, a guy that can make halftime adjustments. So I think that helps. I think it's a testament to Eric Musselman, really, as a coach.
Another statistic that kind of jumps out is just how little Arkansas relies on the three-point shot. They don't take very many. They don't make very many. Why is that? Because they're able to attack the basket and do it that way, or they just don't have very good shooters? Why have they shot so few three-pointers this year?
Both. I mean, you hit it right there. They can't shoot. This is something Eric Musselman has not shied away from, and he told us, I think it was after like the red-white game, and he was like, yeah, we can't shoot. And because of that, he doesn't want them shooting. And if you have an open shot and your feet are set, then yes, take it. There's guys, I mean, Anthony Black can knock them down. Jordan Walsh has shown an ability to knock them down. Ricky Council from time to time. So there's guys that can knock them down. You just don't have a guy that's like, say, J.D. Note from last year who's going to shoot them as soon as he comes across the half-court line. So that, and then also they do have an ability to just get to the rim. And if you can make a layup or a dunk at a much higher percentage than you can a three-point shot, then I think that's a pretty sound strategy to take more of those than you do three-pointers.
He is Andrew Hutchison, best of Arkansas sports. Andrew, really appreciate the time. Best of luck braving the stadium conditions up there in Memphis, and safe travels back to Northwest Arkansas.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me on, and enjoy the game tonight.
We sure will. He is Andrew Hutchison, best of Arkansas sports. I'm going to give you kind of my full preview of this game between LSU and Arkansas coming up at the top of hour number 2. We're going to make a little bit of an adjustment and move Sam King from the Lafayette Journal and Courier back to 2:30. Sam covers Purdue for the Lafayette newspaper up there, and they've got basketball availability. If you didn't know, they're number 1 in the country, so kind of an important deal. So he's gonna bump it back to 2:30. So I'll give my preview on LSU and Arkansas coming up at 2 o'clock, and we'll talk about Purdue football at 2:30. I also want to talk about some of the other SEC basketball games tonight. Give some picks for the football games tonight, which is Arkansas playing Kansas in the Liberty Bowl coming up in about 2 hours and change. And also Ole Miss and Texas Tech in the Texas Bowl. I got Take It or Leave It coming up as well. But when we come back, I do want to do what has kind of become my calling here. I'm going to continue, as long as I'm sitting here, to show you what's right and wrong in the press conference setting. We had a little bit of a press conference issue last night, as it were, between a media member and a coach. I have been in those press conferences. I think I have a fairly good understanding of what goes on and what the expectation is and what the proper decorum is. So I want to give a ruling on what we saw last night. But first, before we get to that, I want to remind you that our opening hours on Wednesday always brought to you by Sunshine Quality Solutions. At Sunshine, we know ease of use is important when it comes to buying equipment. Our John Deere compact tractors offer the versatility to go from the yard, camp, or to the field. With compact tractors up to 20% off list price with 0% financing. Now is a great time to get powered by Sunshine. Visit us online at sunequip.com to apply for financing, get a quote, or learn more about our specials. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends December 31st, 2022. Come back. I'll mediate the press conference issue from last night. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Every business is different, but B1 Bank knows that every business owner has similar needs. From streamlining accounts receivables to maintaining access to working capital, a trusted bank is your best asset for staying on top of day-to-day finances and planning for future business growth. At B1 Bank, I know I have access to commercial banking experts who care about the needs of my business and can guide me to accomplish my goals. B1 Bank knows that managing your business isn't simple, but they can help you make it uncomplicated.
Winter can be magical. The Mercedes-Benz Winter Event is here, and there's no better time to check out our new Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge inventory. We have the vehicles that can make your holiday extraordinary. See all the latest technological features on the newest models during our Mercedes-Benz Winter Event. Shop our best of the best award-winning dealership. Visit mbobr.com.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111, your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Week 17 in the NFL. Tune in on Sunday as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers host the Carolina Panthers at noon, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Tonight, the Texas Bowl, Ole Miss is going to play Texas Tech. Really cool gesture by the Ole Miss football program. On the back of the helmets they're going to wear tonight, they've got a tribute to Mike Leach. Got a picture on Twitter that just came up, and it's the word Mike, but the I is a cowbell with a pirate on it. So just really, really cool. It's on the back of the helmet right next to the stripe and the bowl decal. Again, it's just it says Mike with a cowbell and a pirate as a tribute to to Mike Leach and the caption from Sports Talk Mississippi. Some things are just bigger than a rivalry. Very, very cool gesture by Ole Miss. They'll play it tonight in the Texas Bowl. There was a bowl game last night. It was Wisconsin playing against Oklahoma State, and Wisconsin won the game. And after the game, Mike Gundy went to the media availability, the press conference, and answered some questions. And at the end, he fielded a question from Marshall Scott, who is a writer covering Oklahoma State. And we've got the video, and I'll play it. But Scott asked him about staff changes that may or may not happen here moving forward for Oklahoma State now that the season is complete. And Gundy reacted the way he did. You can be the judge, but I'll give my thoughts on it after we play the clips. This is after last night, Oklahoma State lost the bowl game to Wisconsin, and Marshall Scott asked Mike Gundy if he's going to consider staff changes.
So staff changes are starting to happen earlier and earlier now with the portal being a thing. Do you anticipate making any changes to your staff between now and next season?
Do you think I would tell you if I was making staff changes?
No, but I have
Well, then why would you ask?
Because I have to. It's my job.
Okay, well, I might have to cut you out. I mean, don't be an ass. Really? I mean, those people's lives, man. Those people's families, right? Okay, don't mess with people's families. Let's do this the right way. You with me on this? It's not fair to people's families, man.
All right, that will conclude our press
And I'm
conference.
not mad about the game. I just don't like ignorance.
We'll conclude.
And that's it. So if you missed that, Gundy says, don't be an ass. My opinion on this is that Marshall Scott's asking that question, and he knows he's not going to get an answer. It's not a question that I would ask because I don't think there's any world where you're going to get an answer worth running with. He's not going to sit there after they lose a bowl game and say, yeah, we got to make a lot of changes. Yeah, our offensive coordinator, he sucks. We're getting him out of town. Yeah, our defensive line coach has been awful all year. The guy can't recruit, and we can't get off a block. I'm firing him tomorrow. Like, he's not going to give you an answer there. So is it a great question? No. Does he have to ask it? I think there are a lot of Big J journalists out there who say, yeah, you got to ask the question. I don't know that you have to ask the question. But Marshall Scott's not in the wrong here. It was a futile question. It was not going to produce anything. But Mike Gundy's in the wrong here. It's professional decorum. It's treating people the right way. And that's not doing it. This is very easy. Very, very easy. Coach Gundy, with staff changes being moved up earlier and earlier because of the transfer portal, are you considering making some staff changes? That's the question. The answer, very easy. It's not the time for that kind of question. We just lost a tough football game. I've got a team that I've got to address, and we'll talk about things later in the season, later on. That's it. Instead, Gundy says, why you got to ask that? Don't be an ass. He goes to name calling. Says, don't be ignorant. Says he's going to cut him out of press conferences. That's ridiculous. There are plenty of instances where reporters have an agenda, or they're aggressive, or they overstep their bounds, or they're unprofessional. That was not the case here. I think the question didn't need to be asked and was dumb, but the answer certainly didn't need to be that. And it just frustrates me that these football coaches, and I understand that football coaches in their professional environment have a little different demeanor, and they're in games where there's a winner and a loser. Sometimes we just have a bad day. I realize there are wins and losses in sales and plenty of other things, but it's a little bit more testosterone and emotion fueled than most of our day-to-day work situations. But there's just no excuse, in my opinion, to treat people that way. And it happens all the time. And far more often than not, all the journalists always take the journalist side, and all the public always takes the coach's side, especially if it's your team. And I like to kind of jump in and say, well, this is how it really should have gone down. So Marshall Scott, did he ask the question? Did he have to ask the question? It's my job. Well, it was never going to be a good question. You want to ask him that question in a conversation where you're working on a story and maybe trying to get something sourced or reported? Sure. In that situation, post-game, it's not going to help you there. But Gundy does not need to come after that in the way that he did and use name calling and say he's going to kick him out of press conferences. You would have missed this if you didn't see it. But when he said, are you with me on this? He was talking to the SID, basically saying, keep this guy out of press conferences. And I don't know what the history is between Mike Gundy and Marshall Scott. I don't know what Marshall Scott said or written or what he's done or what his relationship is. Some coaches like certain beat writers and beat reporters and television reporters, and they dislike some others based on things that have happened. Mike Gundy's been in Starkville and Stillwater a long time. So I don't know the history there, but that response was unnecessary. And it just kind of irritates me whenever that happens. And it happens a lot. And there's just an unreasonable arrogance or sense of entitlement at times that professional coaches and college coaches have that irks me. And last night I just saw that and I went, there's just no reason for that. It's so easy to say, yeah, not the time. That's the end. But instead we got to attack somebody and tell them you're going to disallow them from doing their job. That's a bit much for me on the Mike Gundy side of things. That'll do it for our Oklahoma State talk for the day. Still a lot to get to in the second hour. I'm going to preview LSU and Arkansas coming up at 2 o'clock straight up. Talk a little bit about some of the other SEC games tonight, and looking forward to talking to Sam King from the Lafayette Journal and Courier on Purdue, the Purdue side of things as we get ready for the bowl game. Come back after Sports Center, Hour 2, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on a new 2022 Ford F-150, plus no payments for 90 days and 2.9% APR for 72 months. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
My dad just really enjoyed his life, and he enjoyed smoking cigars and thought he was invincible. My stepdad quit smoking, and he really felt like he was in the clear. Sorry. I wish they would have been screened annually. It's not just you affect, it's your entire family.
For more information on Ochsner's free smoking cessation program and to see if you qualify for early lung screenings, visit ochsner.org/quit.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big V and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ATEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
I'm Doug Brown. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa is being called day to day, but he also may be out for Sunday's game against the Patriots. Miami coach Mike McDaniel.
He's better than yesterday. You know, beyond that, I feel like it's kind of weird to extrapolate beyond good, which is what he tells me.
Mike McDaniel. If Tagovailoa can't play, Teddy Bridgewater will start. Raiders coach Josh McDaniels says today Derek Carr will likely be inactive for the last 2 regular season games. Jarrett Stidham takes over and makes his first NFL start Sunday against the 49ers. The Washington Commanders haven't won a game since November, but they're still in the running for a playoff spot. It'll be Carson Wentz at quarterback for Sunday's game against the Browns. He hasn't played since week 6 when he broke his right ring finger. Suns guard Devin Booker will be out at least 4 weeks with a left groin strain. He's already missed 6 of the last 9 games for Phoenix.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2 here on a Wednesday. Tonight inside the PMAC. Southeastern Conference basketball returns. It'll be LSU and Arkansas. Late tip-off, 8 o'clock. But no school for the kiddos, so bring them on out there. Late night. I will be in that number tonight. Very much looking forward to that. Arkansas comes in top 10 in the country. 11-1 on the season. Their net is 10. The Must Bus has been to the Elite 8 back-to-back seasons. Trying to knock down that door to get to the Final Four. And a lot of people thought when they looked at this team on paper that they could. They added impact transfers, the number 2 signing class in the country. And you thought, man, this is a team that really could be pretty special. Still could be. And they've been good thus far. They lost 1 game on the year to Creighton by 3 points down in Maui. They beat San Diego State in overtime down in Maui as well. They beat Oklahoma and Tulsa by 10. They have not played a true road game yet. So this will be the first for them tonight inside the PMAC. I get asked all the time, are you doing Hoops with Hunt? Are you doing Hoops with Hunt? And I said, it's just not this year. It's just the way that things worked out with the show and me being solo, as well as some other things that I've got day to day. There's only so many hours, and you got to kind of decide what it is you're going to prioritize. But I am here for 2 hours every day, and now that football is about to be in the rearview mirror, like, we're going to talk a lot of basketball. And this segment right here that I'm about to do is going to be very, very similar to what Hoops with Hunt would be. So I just got some breaking news here via LSU, so let me go ahead and read this on air. LSU's Kayshon Boutte is unavailable for the Citrus Bowl. Brian Kelly said Boutte is enrolled at LSU for the spring semester. So, sounds like, based on his announcement 2 weeks ago, that he would be back at LSU. Sounds like he's going to be in school this spring. He is not going to play in the Citrus Bowl. So, take that for what it's worth. It's fresh here. It's just a different world of college football. And bowl games have been deprioritized isn't a word, but they've been minimized to a massive extent. And yeah, I hope that Kayshawn's just saying I don't really need to play in the bowl game, and yeah, I'm coming back next year. But that just remains to be seen. You can do anything at any time, and I think there's a lot of people who want to try to connect a bunch of dots. Say, oh, he found out the quarterback's coming back. He doesn't like the quarterback, so he's out of here. I don't know that. That's more than I'm willing to come on the air and say. But Kayshawn not going to play in the Citrus Bowl, so we shall see what the future holds there. As more news materializes, we'll let you know. But I do want to get back to basketball. LSU and Arkansas tonight. This will be like Hoops with Hunt. I'm going to go through this Arkansas roster. I'm going to give you some research that I've done on them, statistics and trends, and give them some personnel, and kind of my thoughts on what LSU needs to do in the ballgame. So for those that are bummed that there's no Hoops with Hunt every single morning, there will be some variation of that. It'll just be between 1 and 3 right here on the show. So as I mentioned, Arkansas is 11-1. Their offensive efficiency is 54th in the country, which is pretty good. But their offense has a distinct identity. And if you were listening to Andrew Hutchison in hour number 1, you heard him say it. They can't shoot. And they don't shoot threes. They just don't shoot them. They are 12th in the country in percent of their points that come from two-point range. They are 360th of 363. So there are 3 teams that get less of their points from three-point range than Arkansas in all of college basketball. They are 360th of 363. They score 19% of their points from three-point range. They shoot 15 threes a game. That is 355th in the country. Only 8 teams in America shoot fewer threes than Arkansas. They don't do it. They're not good at it. They don't care about that. They're going to the rim. So that gives me one massive key in this game for LSU. You have to stop the dribble drives, because if you don't, which is what Arkansas wants to do, guess where they're going? To the rim. Guess who's at the rim? KJ Williams. Guess what happens when you go to the rim and KJ Williams is there? He gets in foul trouble. If he gets in foul trouble, LSU is toast. Toast. They cannot keep up with Arkansas, a team with this talent level, with KJ Williams playing 17 minutes. Ain't going to happen. You have to stop the dribble drive and keep them away from KJ Williams. The other key to this thing, Arkansas is 35th in the country in possessions per game. They want to get up and go. They want to run. They've got a lot of backcourt guys that can handle the basketball. They want to get out in transition. LSU, thus far, 264th in possessions per game. LSU would prefer to play it a little slower. Now, LSU's got veteran guards. Cam Hayes, Juice Williams, Adam Miller, Trey Hannibal. These guys are vets. They should be able to control the tempo of the game, especially if you want to slow it down. Got to try to slow it down. The fewer possessions played in this game, the more that benefits LSU. Arkansas is better. It's like blackjack. Over time, you play 500 hands, house may crush you. You play 3, you may hit 2 of them. So, got to slow the game down. And how do you slow the game down? Well, you possess the basketball. Arkansas has no interest in you possessing the basketball. They take it away about as well as anybody. 11th in the country in turnovers forced. They take the ball away. Again, LSU's got veteran guards. Don't turn it over. Turn it over, 1, it's an empty possession on your end. And 2, you get them moving the other way, which is what they want to do. Ball's got to be slowed down for LSU in this game. Now, you catch a break here for your LSU because Nick Smith's not going to play. 5-star recruit, stud. And Trevin Brazil's out for the year. Those who really dial into SEC hoops, he was Missouri's freshman big last year. He's really athletic, really good, and was off to a really good start for Arkansas this year. Those 2 guys are out, but they're still talented. And their backcourt is big. Anthony Black was the #1 point guard in America last year coming out of high school, according to 247. 6'7" point guard for Arkansas. He's averaging 12.5 points a game, 3.5 assists. He's shot it pretty well, 39% from 3. He also gets 2 steals a game. Now, he's 6'7". Juice Hill is 5'11", We talking 8 inches here? That is fascinating. Can Juice Hill fluster him with the quickness, kind of harassing him? Does Anthony Black give Juice Hill a hard time with his length? That's interesting because their guards don't get a lot smaller. Ricky Council plays a guard for him, really a wing. He's a transfer from Wichita State. He's leading the SEC in minutes, and he's second in the SEC in field goals made. He's averaging 18.5 points per game as a slasher who can also dish. He assists as well. Council's been awesome for him. So those are the two guards that do most of the heavy lifting offensively, Black and Council at 6'7" and 6'6". Now, Devo Davis is a guy that you will remember from Arkansas. He's a veteran. He's a junior. He's a good athlete. He can get out of control sometimes, and he's shot it atrociously this year. 19% from 3. He's 5 of 27. Lefty, but wiry and good athlete. And then you got Jordan Walsh, who's another 5-star recruit. He's a 6'7" wing, 205, top 25 player in the country coming out of high school. He's got a long wingspan and averages 7 points per game. But that's kind of 4 guards out there in Black, Council, Davis, and Walsh. Walsh is listed as a forward at times, but he's really a guard. And then they go to Mekhi Mitchell in the post, who's 6'9", 230, and a senior. He started at Maryland, then went to Rhode Island for a couple of years, 16 blocks on the year. That's them from a personnel perspective. And it goes back to those keys that I mentioned. You've got to slow the game down, limit possessions. You cannot turn the basketball over. You've got to take care of it. And you've got to keep KJ Williams out of foul trouble and see if you can get some offensive production from him. He's going to have to go for 25 points or so tonight for LSU to win this game. And the other thing is you're going to have to hope that Arkansas doesn't play a great game. If Arkansas makes jump shots tonight, LSU's not going to win the game. You've got to hope that Arkansas settles for some threes, misses them as they have, and is a little bit inefficient on the offensive end, and that you get a resurgence from Miller, Williams does his thing, and maybe Juice Hill gives some of these longer guards a little bit of a problem with his quickness. Arkansas is good. They're a good team. And they got size, they've got length, they've got athleticism, they've got an identity, they got a great coach. And if you missed this stat that I threw out there, it's remarkable. And I don't know how hard you had to dig to find this, but Arkansas's game notes had them. Arkansas is 308th in the country in offensive efficiency in the first half. They're second in offensive efficiency in the second half. That is a team that has gotten much better as time has gone on in basketball games. Now, LSU's been pretty good in second halves for the most part this year, especially late in close games. And maybe LSU playing as many close games as they had will give them a leg up in some of these conference games that are really tight late, which I think LSU's going to be in a lot of those. Arkansas has blown a lot of people out. But we'll see. Jordan Walsh, freshman out there. Anthony Black, freshman out there. Maybe those guys in their first true road environment have some issues. Line's tight. It's been about 4, maybe 6. This is not a game I expect LSU to win. I think Arkansas will win the basketball game. But as I said, I did an Arkansas radio hit earlier today. I said it wouldn't shock me if LSU won the game. I just don't think that they will. I think LSU is going to, on most nights, be competitive in the SEC. I think they're going to lose more than they win, but I think they're going to be competitive, especially on their home floor. I think there's going to be a good energy in the PMAC tonight. I think that the crowd will finally be pretty good because Arkansas is a big name. It's a rival, and it's a team that's in the top 10. Everybody knows Eric Musselman. They know they've been to Elite Eight the last couple of years. It's finally an SEC game. You couldn't get out of the house to go watch UT Arlington or New Orleans, but hey, Arkansas is in town. Kids don't have school tomorrow, 8 o'clock tip. Let's go. I think it'll be a pretty good environment in there. Hopefully LSU comes out and lands a few punches early. That would be Arkansas's trend as they've struggled early in games. They've been great late. But you got to slow the game down. You got to take care of the ball. You got to keep KJ Williams on the floor and hope Arkansas doesn't play its A game. If those things happen, you'll be right in the mix. You can win the game. But it's going to be a tall ask. And a lot of these games early on in conference play are going to be tall asks. But I'm really excited to get into the PMAC tonight. I'm excited to see high-level basketball for the first time all year in there. Hopefully LSU plays one of their better games and comes out with a win. But it's gonna be a tough one in there tonight for sure. Sam King covers Purdue for the Lafayette Journal and Courier. He's going to join us in about 15 minutes to talk about Purdue as they head on down to Florida. Get ready for the Citrus Bowl. If you missed the news that I just talked about at the top of this hour, Kayshon Boutte is not going to play in the Citrus Bowl. No reason why is given. They do add in the press release that Michael Bonnet sent out at LSU that says, hey, this guy Kayshon is enrolled in school for the spring, but it raises questions, and they're valid questions, as to why he's not playing in the game. We'll see if more information becomes available, whether it's Kayshon's social media accounts or what. But I'll be quite honest, a little bit of a bummer here on this Wednesday. Come back with us. We'll talk a little bit more about the SEC opening night in college basketball. It starts actually in an hour and 40 minutes up in Oxford. That's next on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is on Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
Musso, join us for Wednesday's AFR presented by Pluckers. Matt's vacation continues. Ronnie Rance is in to guest host. We continue to preview LSU and Purdue in the Citrus Bowl and Saints Eagles. After further review, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I'm going to go up to West Lafayette, Indiana here in about 10 minutes, chat with Sam King from the Lafayette Journal and Courier. I've tried to say that on the air like 6 times today. I haven't gotten it correct one time. The Lafayette Journal and Courier. I think Lexington's got the Courier Journal, which I think rolls off my tongue a little bit better. The Journal and Courier, just not working for me. But Sam King is going to be with me in 10 minutes to talk about just how things have gone over the last couple of weeks with Purdue, with obviously Jeff Brom moving out, Brian Brom going up and being the interim head coach before he goes to Louisville, and the opt-out with the players and all that going on. What does the mindset and the personnel look like for Purdue? We'll talk about that coming up in 10 minutes. But the SEC gets rolling with conference play in basketball today, and actually starts with a matinee at 4 o'clock. Tennessee headed to Oxford to play Ole Miss. They're going to play that game early because Ole Miss is playing in the Texas Bowl later. Want to get a little bit better crowd. If you play a football game and you try to get people to come to a basketball game, that's not going to go so hot in an SEC town. So they're going to move that game up to 4 o'clock, and Tennessee will head to Ole Miss. Good backcourt matchup in that one. Ole Miss is not an incredibly talented team, but their guards do lead them, and I love Tennessee's guards. Zakai Ziegler's awesome. Santiago Vescovi's been a really good player for 3 years now. Rick Barnes' team is a more talented team in this matchup. They are ferocious on defense. They're ranked 7th in the country for a reason. They're a 7-point favorite on the road in this one for a reason, and I like Tennessee to kind of choke the life out of Ole Miss in that game up at the Pavilion at 4 o'clock. 6 o'clock on the SEC Network, Kentucky and Missouri are going to play. This looks like a really good matchup on paper. Missouri is 11-1. They've been exceptional offensively against some really bad teams, and then they ran into Kansas and said, oh, this is what a real basketball team looks like. And that did not go so hot. They lost that game 95-67. Now, impressive win over Illinois, I will say. That was a good one. Illinois' got a good basketball team. Missouri beat them by 21 points. They scored 93 in that game. So maybe just a bad night for Missouri against Kansas, but we'll see what they're made of in this one as they welcome in a Kentucky team that, no matter what you want to say about Cal, he always has teams that can really play defense because he's always got really, really big and really, really long players, and that's certainly the case on this Kentucky team. They've had their ups and downs. They've already lost 3 games. We know Cal plays a really, really tough schedule, so I think this Kentucky team is going to be better in February than it is right now, but I also like them to go to Missouri and win that game. So that'll be at 6 o'clock on the SEC Network. Interesting one here, Florida and Auburn. Florida going to Auburn Arena. Look, Florida's 7-5 on the year, and this line's only 5.5. That doesn't feel right in Auburn Arena, where they're going to be hanging off the rafters in there. This Auburn team's not as good as they were last year. They have not replaced Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler to that degree. They've lost 2 of their last 4, and those were big-time games against Memphis and USC. They did beat Washington by 23 points in their last non-conference game, which was pretty impressive. So, look, Florida's in a little bit of a rebuild there. You have Mike White moving out. You have Ty Golden coming in. I don't like them at all to go into Auburn Arena, but I just can't figure out why that number's only 5.5. That doesn't, to me, make a lot of sense. I think it should be 8. So we'll see what Florida's got inside their trip to the Plains. Georgia's going to play Rider. That's a non-conference game, obviously. And then the biggest matchup on paper in this opening day of SEC basketball is Alabama at Mississippi State. Mississippi State's defensive metrics are off the charts. They got Tolu Smith down there on the block. They've got a lot of really good athletes, and they have smothered people in Coach Jan's first fall here in Starkville. We know that Alabama can be an offensive juggernaut at times. They got exposed by Gonzaga 2 weeks ago, but in that game, I watched it. Gonzaga just wouldn't miss a shot. And it wasn't like they were getting a bunch of dunks and layups. Like, they were knocking down threes, hitting step backs. That's always going to be one of the most skilled teams in the country, Gonzaga. That's not what you're going to see in Starkville tonight in the hump. So Alabama won't have to deal with that. But Alabama's got as impressive a group of wins as anybody in the country. You talk about beating Michigan State, beating North Carolina, beating number 1 Houston at the time, beating Memphis. Like that's playing real teams. And they did score 90 on Gonzaga. So the question here is how for real. I'm buying in on Alabama's team this year. Oates has continued to put good teams out there. They're talented. They've got a good system. They've got an identity. I'm not concerned about what Alabama looks in this game tonight. I'm curious if Mississippi State proves that it's for real tonight. You've got Alabama, one of the better offensive teams in the country, coming in to play in your house that should be bumping for an 8 o'clock tip-off, and you're supposed to be a defensive-minded team with a defensive identity. Do you hold them to 63 and say, oh, whoa, this is a real defense? Or do they go get 86 on you and you go, oh, yeah, we beat a lot of teams who aren't necessarily very good? We'll find out some stuff. I mean, it's never a great thing when you go into conference play having lost to Drake. Scored 52 points in that game. He held Minnesota to 51, held Utah to 49, held Marquette to 55. Those are Power 5 teams, Power 6 teams that you're holding in the 50s. Can they do it tonight? The one game they lost, they only allowed 59 points. They scored 52. So the most interesting thing tonight is, okay, Mississippi State, you're ranked now. You ran off 11 wins in a row, proving you're a great defensive team. Prove it against one of the better offenses. I don't know if that's going to happen. I like Alabama to go to Starkville and win that game. Incidentally, this was a trivia question to Pluckers a couple weeks ago. The closest two SEC campuses are Tuscaloosa and Starkville, just a bus ride for those guys over there. So lots of SEC basketball action tonight. Of course, the Tigers in the PMAC tonight taking on Arkansas. We already broke that one down. If you missed that in the last segment, catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Anywhere you catch your audio, you can catch that on demand. So go ahead and check that out. When we come back, we're going to shift the conversation over to the Purdue Boilermakers, LSU's Citrus Bowl opponent. It's been a rocky couple of weeks up there in West Lafayette. Sam King covers the Boilermakers. He joins us next on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt Palmer on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. All December long, we're telling you about Mimosa Handcrafted. That is, of course, Madeline Ellis's company. She was a landscape architect, and her husband, Dawson, said, hey, why don't you do what you love? And that's Mimosa Handcrafted, where she makes incredible jewelry over there. They just opened their first brick-and-mortar location at 541 South Eugene Street. It's right next to Red Stick Reeds. When you go in there and make a purchase, either in the brick-and-mortar or at the website, Mimosa Handcrafted is a part of the Goods for Good campaign, which allows customers to select from a list of charitable causes like the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank or the Mental Health Association for Greater Baton Rouge. They give back to the community that they're a part of, and that's what makes Mimosa Handcrafted a champion of Louisiana. If you know someone, some company, some nonprofit that's doing great things in our great state, go to lwcc.com/champions and nominate them to be a champion for Louisiana like Mimosa Handcrafted. Then we can tell their story right here on 1045 ESPN. Mimosa Handcrafted is December's champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now.
Join me, Jimmy, out as we get ready for the LSU Basketball Conference opener. It's LSU Arkansas. We'll be at City Slice Pints and Pizza on Chime Street, just outside the north gates of LSU, on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
SEC basketball in the PMAC tonight, Arkansas and LSU. There's some people interested in basketball up in West Lafayette, Indiana, where Purdue is one of the best teams in the country. But they still got one more football game to play this season. That'll be against LSU in the Citrus Bowl. Sam King from the Lafayette Journal and Courier joins us now. He covers Purdue. Sam, thanks so much for the time. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing very well. So take me back a couple of weeks ago when the Louisville job comes open. What was the chain of events up there in West Lafayette, and how surprising was it when Jeff Brom said, hey, I'm going to go home?
It was probably the most unsurprising thing to happen this football season for Purdue, honestly. This has been a talk now for probably 5 years at least, that the ultimate goal was for Jeff Brom to go take that Louisville job. It opened up a couple years ago, and the timing just wasn't right for him. He felt like he had some unfinished business here. And now, having won the Big Ten West title, getting to that Big Ten title game, reaching the Citrus Bowl, 9 wins last year, 8 wins this year, I felt like he could leave here feeling like, okay, I've helped turn this program around. Now it's time to go back to my alma mater and try to do the same there.
So he leaves. He's got to go recruit in the early signing period, and you figure there will be some coaching members from that staff that will follow him. But what does the coaching staff look like for Purdue for this game? And is there any concern about their focus level and where they may be headed come the next football season?
No, so his brother, Brian Brom, who also was a star quarterback at Louisville, played in the NFL for a little while, is now the interim head coach. He's going to coach this one game. He's done this before last season, or I believe 2 seasons ago when Jeff Brom got COVID. He coached a game against Iowa. Purdue won that game. So he is 1-0 as Purdue's coach. And he's going to be in charge here for the next game, and then it's going to be a lot of turnover. Purdue's already hired Ryan Walters to be the head coach next year. He's already started to assemble a staff. Mark Hagan, who's the defensive play caller for the Citrus Bowl, he's going to Louisville after this game. I think all of these coaches will probably depart once that's over, and you're going to have a whole turnover, and things are going to shift quickly from there.
We know that Ed O'Connell has decided he's not going to play. Charlie Jones is not going to play. Payne Durham is not going to play. Just how depleted in terms of numbers is this Purdue roster with transfer portal, opt-out, et cetera?
Well, I don't think it's quite LSU of a year ago. situation.
That's
yet,
another
but,
level.
Yeah, it is. It's concerning when it's your probably two best pass catchers, your quarterback who's a sixth-year senior and has been the leader of your team now for 3 years. Some of the defensive guys that are not going to play are big time. Either guys that have gone in the transfer portal or opt out. So it is concerning as a Purdue fan. It is unfortunately the way college football works now, especially when you do have a coaching change before the bowl game. Guys are going to opt out that think they have a chance to go to the NFL, which the 3 offensive guys that have opted out probably have a good shot of being drafted. It's just new guys have to step up. Purdue went through this a year ago in the Music City Bowl against Tennessee. David Bell, the top receiver last year, did not play in that game. George Karlaftis, the first-round pick, defensive end, now playing for Kansas City, did not play in that game, and new guys stepped up. And, even though people don't know the names of the guys that will probably be playing some key roles in the Citrus Bowl, I think that Purdue is confident that, hey, we have some guys that can go in there and compete and, maybe make a name for themselves in this game.
I don't think LSU fans are totally familiar with Purdue. It's probably not a team that they've watched a ton of, but I think most college football fans understand, okay, they had Brom up there at Purdue. They run the offense. They throw it around a little bit. They score a lot of points. That's kind of the Purdue identity. When you lose your quarterback and your top 2 pass catchers and your coach moves on, do you expect the offensive philosophy to look different, or, hey, we got different guys out here, but this is what we do?
Well, one of the major things that Purdue did was bring in Drew Brees to coach the quarterbacks for this, stretch of 3 weeks or so. So that's a big boost in terms of just having that knowledge and understanding of the game. On top of that, Austin Burton, who's going to be the starting quarterback in place of Aiden O'Connell, he can run a little bit, which is something that O'Connell was not, great at. He was more of a drop back, stand in the pocket and pick you apart type passer. But Austin Burton offers a little bit of a different dynamic because he does have that running ability. He's not probably going to run it a lot, but he's more than capable of picking up yards on the ground. So you have that. And then, receivers are just going to maybe get more opportunities than they have in the past. And they have a running back who's this year was a redshirt freshman walk-on that's approaching 1,000 yards rushing, which is kind of came out of left field. Nobody saw it coming. He's now on scholarship. That was the first order of business for Ryan Walters as the new coach. So I think there's going to be some guys that feel like they've got a chance to go in there and have something to prove, and just haven't had those opportunities yet.
Sam King covers Purdue for the Lafayette Journal and Courier, joins us here on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Sam, where's the strength of this Purdue defense for this Citrus Bowl?
Oh, man, I would have said defensive line, but those guys aren't playing now.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard to say. They're going to be extremely thin and all 3, the front line, the linebackers, and the secondary compared to what we've seen all season long. And it's, for me, if I'm a Purdue fan, extremely concerning when you look at a dual threat quarterback and you have inexperienced guys that haven't played a whole lot. I think that's one area that LSU has a major advantage, is just having the ability to run or throw it over your head. That's one very concerning thing, I think, going into the Citrus Bowl, is that I don't know where the strength of this defense is. You have some guys who are leaders, like a linebacker, Kieran Douglas type, but we don't know a lot of these guys and what they're capable of doing, and now we're going to find out.
This is a tough question to answer for sure, but where do you think the motivation level is for this Purdue team as they head down to Florida?
Well, I would hope it's extremely high because, Purdue has had a great season. It's not Alabama, it's not LSU. The expectations are probably a little bit different here in terms of, I guess, what's realistic. And having 8 wins in a season it's a big year here. So for these guys, I think it's, hey, we got a chance to go out and finish strong. The motivation was extremely high last year playing Tennessee, and it's like, hey, we've heard that the SEC is the cream of the crop in college football, and now we get to go play one of those teams. A lot of the players that I talked to in the last couple of weeks have mentioned how they grew up watching LSU football and idolized guys that were coming through that program. So it's a big deal for them, and now they get to go out there and strap it up against LSU. And I think that they're going to be, pretty highly motivated. I think that the reason that the staff is still remaining here, that probably is off to Louisville after this game, is because this was such kind of a special season or a special 2-year run here that Purdue's had as of late, that they want to finish off on a high note, and felt like these coaches gave them the best opportunity to do that.
You mentioned LSU last year in their bowl game, and everybody around here obviously knows that story. They went out there with 38 guys and had a wide receiver playing quarterback, and we all knew that they had no chance in the game. I'm not suggesting that Purdue is that decimated to where they don't have anyone to play quarterback, but when you look at this roster, you've covered this team, how realistic is it that Purdue can put a sincere effort on the football field on January 2nd?
I think that it's kind of the Purdue mentality that play hard is what they say here, and they really buy into that. And I think they will fight. We saw it against Michigan, but obviously there were some pieces there that aren't going to be there for this game. I don't even know with Charlie Jones, with Aiden O'Connell, with Corey Trice, Payne Durham, I don't know if they would beat LSU or compete with LSU with those guys. And now you're asking this team to do it without those guys. And I know that LSU has opt-outs and guys in the transfer portal as well, but I think that the two teams are probably at a different level, especially when you equate what is not there for Purdue that was so much of what Purdue did this season.
Last question here, Sam, because where LSU is now the weakest based on the transfer portal, they've lost their entire starting defensive line from the season opener. Now, one of them went out on the first series of the season for the year. The other three have decided they're not going to play in this game. So when you look at Purdue's offensive line, I know that Maccabee at running back is really good. Is that unit intact, and could that be something that Purdue could attack?
I think that, obviously Purdue's brand is throwing the football around, but without a Charlie Jones who caught, majority of the passes, it felt like this year. He had over 100 receptions, and then Payne Durham, who's been a reliable tight end for several years now. I think that you might see running the football, and I'm sure that Purdue has some wrinkles in there that haven't shown up on film yet. You can do that when you get some different personnel in there. There's probably going to be some trick plays and things that we haven't seen this season that nobody probably has seen on film yet. So it will definitely be interesting to see how they attack that. I would imagine that Maccabee, especially being a guy so close to 1,000 yards, who has said that's one of his goals. They would like to try to get him those 80 yards or whatever he needs to reach that plateau. But it's also just going to go with the flow of the game. It's how can we attack them, and how do we feel that we can have the best chance to drive down the field and score points. So the fact that it is right now the defensive line, that it's going to be some guys that haven't played a whole lot this year, maybe that's the route that Purdue will take and try to establish itself on the ground early.
How good is this Purdue basketball team?
They're pretty incredible. I don't know that it's the best team in college basketball, as the number one ranking says it is, but definitely been pretty impressive with starting a couple freshmen and some key players that are really young. It's very exciting.
Sam, we appreciate you being flexible with us. Thanks for the time. And are you heading down to South Florida for the game?
I will be leaving this weekend, yes.
Excellent. Safe travels. Hope your airline travels aren't as rough as it's been for some for this Christmas holiday, but we'll do it again soon.
All right. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
He is Sam King from the Lafayette Journal and Courier. I'm not – I wish the questions weren't about, who's going to play there? Can they even field a team? And you're looking at LSU, well, they don't even have a defensive line. Like that. That's not the most fun bowl talk in the world, but it's the reality. And so LSU lost another piece to their puzzle today as Keyshawn Booty has announced he is not going to play. And Purdue's had a lot of guys who said they're not going to play. So it'll be interesting to see what shows up there in January 2nd. But we appreciate Sam King for coming on, giving the Boilermakers perspective on it. We got one more segment left. It's Take It or Leave It next on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is on Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
That sunshine.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit. We get it done with passion for our fans and love for our community. We are the Tigers. Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
winter can be magical. The Mercedes-Benz Winter Event is here, and there's no better time to check out our new Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge inventory. We have the vehicles that can make your holiday extraordinary. See all the latest technological features on the newest models during our Mercedes-Benz Winter Event. Shop our best of the best award-winning dealership. Visit mbobr.com.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Week 17 in the NFL. Tune in on Sunday as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers host the Carolina Panthers at noon, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You missed it. The news of the day. LSU has released a statement that says wide receiver Kayshon Boutte will not be available for the Citrus Bowl. The only other added piece of information in that press release said that Kayshon was enrolled at LSU for the spring. So if you want to determine that you think he's going into the transfer portal and go play somewhere else because he hates the quarterback, you can do that. If you want to say he's going to declare for the draft, you can do that. If you want to say he just doesn't love the team and doesn't want to be on the doesn't care about the Citrus Bowl, you can do that. I'm just going to take the approach that, hey, this guy said he wants to come back to LSU. I think a lot of that is rooted in the fact that he wants to have a big final year and improve his draft stock and play. And he doesn't feel that the risk of playing in the Citrus Bowl is worth that. Now, if you think that's acceptable, great. If you think it's not, great. But I'm probably not going to get on here and try to connect a bunch of dots that I don't know anything about. I wish he was playing. He's not playing. Really hope he's playing against Florida State next year. And until somebody tells me otherwise, I'm going to assume that's the case. But he's not going to play in this Citrus Bowl. So it'll be up to Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas and Jeray Jenkins. Is Jeray done? I can't even remember if Jeray's playing. I can't even remember who's playing in the game, quite frankly. I'll have to go back and look at that because we're going to be diving into this game a little more sincerely over the next 2 days because we've only got 2 more shows until LSU and Purdue play coming up on Monday. So Let's do what we do to finish up every single show. Play some Take It or Leave It.
Over 30 games, Aaron Rodgers is 27-3 in Lambeau in the regular season. Games that are played in December and January. The Packers will make the playoffs. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. It's possible. They're still clinging to life. Went down there and beat Miami, but I'm going to leave it. I don't think they're going to win out. I don't think they're going to get the help they need. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that. There's significant flaws on that team. They've been there all year. Yeah, they've won a couple of games, but I'm not ready to buy the Packers just yet, so I'll go ahead and leave it.
The Dolphins confirmed that Tua suffered another concussion. We've seen the last of Tua Tagovailoa this year. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to take that. This has been 3 probably this year, and they've been headline-grabbing situations where they've mismanaged things. And so I just don't think that they're going to put him back out there. They're leaking oil as it is. They're having trouble winning games. They've got a backup that can function in Teddy. I just don't think that it's right to put Tua out there. And even if you want to take it a step further, I think the PR hit they would take if they sent him back out there would be catastrophic. So it's not the right thing to do, and the repercussions would be awful. I just can't imagine they're going to send Tua back out there. It really is so disappointing for a guy that was playing good football early in the year and has just not been able to shake this concussion trend, and he just keeps having them when he goes out there. And it's just not worth it. So I don't see the Dolphins sending him back out there. I think Teddy's the guy the rest of the way.
You'll love this one. With La'el Collins out for the year with a torn ACL, Andrew Whitworth's name has surfaced as a potential add for the Bengals. One Tiger for another. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. I just don't think Whitworth's going to go back out there after missing 16 weeks of this year and not playing for 11 months, that you're going to see him go out there. I mean, he was asked about this previously, and he said, you're going to have to talk to my wife. She makes all the decisions. He's hamming it up a little bit on social media. He was going and said, huge decision today. What's for lunch in Nashville? So he's aware that this kind of stuff's murmuring. He did spend a lot of time in Cincinnati. I know that he's got a relationship with Joe Burrow, and he did say never say never. So I'm not going to slam the door on it, but I just don't think that's the best course of action. The Bengals have done a pretty good job at stabilizing that offensive line. It's not perfect. It's not one of the best in the league, but they are significantly better than what they were last year. Collins has been a piece of that, but La'el's been hurt all year and finally got the season-ending injury there with the torn ACL. I don't know what their plan is. I don't pretend to know what their practice squad looks like or what the depth is going to be there. I just don't think Andrew Whitworth, 11 months removed from playing football and jumping in there right here at the end of the season is going to happen. But crazier things have happened, so we'll see.
Well, Hunt, as you know, most people are starting to figure out that Luka Doncic is the best player in the NBA. Last night, he posted 60 points, 21 rebounds, 10 assists for a 60-20 triple-double. Then, after the game, he said he needed a recovery beer. 60, 20, and 10 gets you a recovery beer. Take it or leave it.
I'll justify a cold beer for anything. I change a light bulb. I was like, yeah, you got to get a beer for that. I mean, if I accomplish anything in the house, oh, man, took the trash out and got time for a cold beer. So, yeah, you drop 60, go for 21 rebounds and 10 assists, the first time in the league that's ever happened. I think the guy can have a couple of cold beers. Tell Cuban to send him a whole flat down there to the locker room. Yeah, I thought that was a funny answer that he gave. That he needed a recovery beer, and that guy can roll up some statistics. And it's so funny because, it doesn't look like the great players of this era look. I mean, when LeBron was putting up statistics like that, it looked like he was a man playing amongst boys, just bigger, faster, stronger. Russell Westbrook putting up those triple-doubles the way he was, just the biggest freak on the court. Luka doesn't look faster than everyone or quicker than everyone. He's not making these ridiculous highlight plays in terms of athleticism, but just the skill level. And what he did last night, missing that free throw, the ball gets tipped up, he catches it, and then makes that 5-footer to tie the game. He's a freak. He's the most under control baller in the league right now, and it's amazing to watch.
All right, one last one because we could use a good laugh.
Yeah.
The Raiders have benched Derek Carr for Jarrett Stidham. You taking that or leaving it?
I mean, I know he threw 3 picks in the last game, and they're losing games, and he leads the NFL in picks. But I mean, Jarrett Stidham's not the answer. What are we trying to find out here? Are we going to see if Stidham's the answer and he's going to be the franchise quarterback? I'll answer that from here. No, he's not. Carr's talented. He's been productive. He's fine. He's your quarterback. You're not going to gain anything from going to Jarrett Stidham. It's not even the worst quarterback move of the day because the Commanders are going back to Wentz, which is ridiculous. But no one's asking me what to do with these NFL quarterback situations. Jarrett Stidham, not the answer. But I do appreciate Gus Malzahn for throwing the ball a bunch in that game a couple years ago once they took a 20-point lead and giving the game back to LSU with Jarrett Stidham out there. That was excellent. Unfortunately, the Tiger Stadium win streak for LSU against Auburn was snapped last year. But Jarrett Stidham, he ain't the answer for the Raiders. That'll do it for our show here on a Wednesday. You missed it, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you catch your audio, you can catch us. We open things up talking about the bowl games today, Ole Miss and Arkansas. J.D. Piquel of On3 Sports in the first hour, along with Andrew Hutchison from Best of Arkansas Sports, talking about the Hogs who were coming into the PMAC tonight. I gave a little thoughts on Mike Gundy's press conference reaction last night, which was pretty much uncalled for. My LSU Arkansas preview at the top of hour number 2. We did talk to Sam King from the Lafayette Journal and Courier at 2:30. So catch all of that on demand. Tigers on the hardwood tonight at 8 o'clock, 7:30 over in Eagle 98.1 is where you can catch the broadcast of the game. We'll be reacting to it tomorrow. Ronnie Rantz coming up next on AFR. You're listening to 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.